are a number of myths surrounding women and heart disease, and what you don't know could hurt you. So I sat down with Dr. Ana Villamonte Ross, who tells us what's myth and what's medicine.
Heart disease, unfortunately, affects all ages. All ages. And in fact, in women, in younger women, the combination of being on birth controls and smoking actually causes you to have a 20% higher risk factor of heart disease than if you were not a smoker and on birth control. So very, very important. And even though, without question, risk does go up as you age, your sedentary habits, your nutritional habits, all of that are incredibly important at a young age in order for you, again, to prevent later on the development of plaques, of calcium in your arteries, and the development of heart disease.
So just to reaffirm, just because you're young, it doesn't make you immune to heart disease?
Absolutely not.
Okay, let's get to the number two. If heart disease isn't in your family, it isn't your problem.
Absolutely it is. It's, yes, is again, very important to know your family history in regards to all types of diseases.
There's a reason the doctor's asking you any history of stroke, any history of heart disease in your family.
Absolutely, and just as an aside, my mother, who was a physician, actually, and many of you might be interested in doing this for your own families, a family tree. Of the family and who married who and from the great-grandparents and all. But she did it in regards to health.
I think that is
in
genius.
regards to causes of death. Because again, she was a physician, so you can see whether heart disease, whether certain types of cancers are part of your family, diabetes, all sorts of things. So if you are fortunate enough to have family members that can recall diseases and causes of death, try doing that for your own family and your own children.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, I just went for my yearly physical, and again, the doctor will ask you history, your family history on your mother's side, your father's side. I had to sit there and sort of remember who had what.
Exactly. But again, remember, yes, family history is very important, but there's no question that our own habits, whether or not you're physically active, whether or not you're eating well, whether or not your blood pressure is under control, whether you're a smoker or not, all those things are under your control. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you have to make sure that you adopt healthy habits.
And here's another one. If it runs in your family, it can't be prevented.
It can, yeah, you're right. Very important to know it, but we can either decrease that chance that you'll develop something or increase it even more. So yes, it is important to know what we're born with, more or less, but we know that we can either add to that or subtract from that by, again, our healthy or our...
Let's talk about the modifiable risk factors, Dr. Villamonte Ross, meaning the ones that we can control, that Dr. Gomez from the Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute mentioned, and smoking, as we've been discussing, is on the top of that list.
Is on the top of the list. About 16% of men smoke, 14% of women smoke, and believe it or not, women are dying of lung disease just as much and even more so sometimes than men. And what's thought to be about it is that we have different susceptibility of our lung tissue to smoke. So we react more poorly than men do to either first-hand smoke or second-hand smoke. So again, smoking in women is extremely critical. The other thing that just came out recently is e-cigarettes. That especially in amongst our young, we had really made a huge dent in smoking in our youth. And all of a sudden that is spiking yet again because of these e-cigarettes that actually contain as much or more nicotine at times.
And it's misinformation. They think they're not smoking a cigarette, but there's so many chemicals in those e-cigarettes.
And hypertension was mentioned by Dr. Gomez also. Hypertension, women have to understand some of the risk factors to develop hypertension. One of them is oral contraceptives. Is very, very important. Pregnancy, that's why they check you whenever you go in for your OB checks. Your blood pressure is very, very important, so you don't have high blood pressure and complicated then deliveries or late pregnancy issues. Menopause is also a risk factor for the development of hypertension. So very, very important for women to understand that and to be able to monitor that.
And in the video, we saw diabetes.
Absolutely, diabetes. Women, unfortunately, have higher incidence of being overweight and obese than men. And obesity, we know, leads to diabetes. And again, that's one of the very, very important risk factors for the development of heart disease.
And we have some suggestions to help you eat your way to heart health. Take a look.
Green salad or a pizza? What will you pick? Dr. Amy Pollock, a cardiologist at Mayo Clinic, hopes you'll go for the salad.
1 out of 3 women will end up dying of heart disease or stroke, which is a staggering number. And there are 43 million women living with heart disease.
Dr. Pollock recommends the Mediterranean diet.
Complex carbohydrates, whole grains, fish 2 to 3 times per week, lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, really 5 servings per day of fruits and vegetables, a lot of olive oil, nuts like almonds and walnuts. Those are the hallmarks of the Mediterranean diet.
So what about that pizza? Dr. Pollock says go ahead and enjoy an occasional slice, but make heart-healthy food choices more often than not.
Those healthy eating choices become a habit, and it doesn't seem cumbersome to have fish instead of a hamburger, or to reduce the amount of carbohydrates or have less of the simple sugars in our diets.
For more heart-healthy recipes and exercise tips, we got you covered. Visit us online. And remember, if you have a question, please reach out. We love hearing from you. You can send us an email by visiting our website, allhealthtv.com, or give us a ring, 855-796-4475.